Hello everybody, welcome to Filmmaking. Today, Bowie and Dulabic here. So, do you need an ND filter? Okay, let's talk about it. Alright, so in this episode we're going to talk about the K&F Concepts ND filter, which is this guy right here. This is a variable 9-stop filter. So I'll talk about all the aspects of it. I'll show you the quality and all that good stuff. Just to get it out of the way, let's talk quickly about ND filters. Now, the most basic description for ND filters is that they're basically sunglasses for your lens, which is true. I mean, really, all they do is they attach. This is all it is. They attach to the front of the lens, and then it literally is a sunglass. You know, it allows you, it cuts down in light, the amount of light that comes in. Now, why is that important? Well, it all depends what you want to do. Cutting down on light is always a pain in the butt. It can be. Again, it depends what you are doing. So what I mean by that is, if you are shooting a photo, and let's say you have it's a sunny day, you're outside, and you want to get the sky. You want it to be visible, you don't want it to be blown out and all that stuff, and the foreground and all that. Well, there's ways to achieve that without an ND filter. So, for example, you can set your lens to f-stop 16 or 22. A lot of them will go up to 16 or 22. If you go up to 22, I mean, you might not even need this guy, depending on how strong the sun is. So, your lens is going to close down, a lot less light is going to come through, boom, you're all good. The problem with that is you're also losing the depth of field. You're losing the bokeh effect in the background, you know how when things are blurry, right? So you're losing that. Now, if you're shooting landscape and you don't care about that because you want everything to be in focus, well then good, off you go. Move on. We'll watch another video. Just saying. But if you want to shoot something in the foreground and you want that depth of field, but at the same time, you want to open up the aperture, you want to shoot maybe at f-stop 1.4, and you want everything to be nice out of focus in the background, but yet you want to be able to see the sky, whatever it is. Well, there's really no other way of doing that. The only other way of doing that is to adjust your shutter speed, right? Now, again, these are all, variables. You can do that, and it all depends what you are shooting. If you're shooting a photo, and if you adjust your shutter speed and you go up to 500, whatever it is, the problem with that is if you have any kind of moving objects and you're losing, basically, for example, if you're shooting water, it won't be that silky, smooth, the motion of the water. You won't have that. It'll be very, it'll be the opposite of that. It'll be very crisp, very sharp, right? And maybe that's what you want. If you're shooting sports, maybe that's what you want, right? Again, it all depends what you want, right? But if that's not what you want, boom, you need this guy. Also, if you're shooting video, you're very limited. With pictures, you have more leeway, but with video, you're very limited because at the end of the day, with video, if you're shooting 30 frames, you have to double the shutter speed, so you got to shoot at 60. There's really no leeway there. I mean, yeah, you can maybe go to 80-ish, and you can probably get away with it, but honestly, you have to double it. That's just the standard, right? So you lose that element. You can't adjust the shutter speed. So you only have the aperture. And again, if you want, the foreground in focus and the background out of focus, blah, 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 all that stuff, short story, ND filter right here. It's what you need. So let's take a look at this guy right here, and then we'll be back. And this is the K&F Concepts 9-stop variable ND filter. This one has a 58mm diameter. You can get them smaller or bigger. It just depends on your lens. And the way they work is very simple. You just adjust the ring depending on how much light there is in your room. So you can go from basically almost 0 all the way up to 9 stops. You just dial it in by adjusting the ring, going from minimum to max. It just depends on how much light there is in your scene. You apply some color grading and boom, that's it. It's very simple to do. What makes this filter stand out from the others is the fact that it has the minimum and maximum markings on there so that you don't go beyond that. Because if you do go beyond that, sometimes you can see an X shape in your images and that just doesn't look good. And here's a bunch of examples of what you can get with this ND filter. What I love about it is being able to lower my f-stop to f-stop 2 or lower and really focus on something in the foreground, like right here, as you can see with the leaves and the branches, and get that nice bokeh effect in the background where everything's blurry, it's out of focus, but yet I'm not losing the detail in the skies. It's not blown out, it still looks nice, vibrant. To me, that is one of the strengths of an ND filter, especially a variable one where I can adjust the intensity. And when it comes to images, the same rules apply as for video. You can get some really cool results if you are interested in getting the foreground and getting a blue sky, like you see right here. You can get some really nice effects. All of these images have been tweaked in Luminar and Photoshop as well. This is not just with the filter. I did work on this, but it does allow you to get some interesting results. For example, here you can see I can get that silky effect of water because I did a long exposure, and that's the kind of stuff you can do with ND filters, which just allows you to get more creative and get more interesting shots. Okay, so let's take a look at the sharpness and see what it looks like at different levels. So here we have an image that's zoomed in at 400%, no ND filter whatsoever, and then here's that same image with the ND filter at 1 stop. Now you can see there's hardly any difference. It basically looks the same as before. Here is at 4 stops, which is halfway there, and you can see a little bit of noise for sure, but to me, it's still manageable. I wouldn't really worry about that. And then here we have it at 8 stops, which is almost to the max. And yes, you can definitely notice a lot more noise here, but all in all, I still think it's manageable and I wouldn't really worry too much about it. So guys, as you saw, this little thing is pretty sweet. I mean, you know, you can't go wrong with something like this. There are much more expensive filters than this guy. Depending on the size of the diameter, the bigger the size, the more you're going to pay because you're getting more glass. So you're looking at somewhere between $25 or maybe even a little bit less, up to 35, 45 bucks, 40 bucks. Again, depending on how big you want it, right? So you're in that range, which is nothing. I mean, you can spend $200, $300, $400 on ND filters. I mean, it can get pretty insane with these things. Considering the price, I think it's a pretty good one. You know, I mean, yes, you lose a little bit of sharpness, especially once you go up to the max, but honestly, it's fine. I wouldn't sweat it, especially for video. You can get away with a lot with video. I think it's fine, and this thing makes such a huge difference. I mean, you saw the difference, before and after. It makes a huge difference, and that could be the difference between you getting the gig or not getting the gig, or you getting paid after you shoot everything or not getting paid, right? So that's that. One last thing, which I didn't mention in the video, having the markings on here, the minimum and maximum, that is extremely important because a lot of them don't have it, and then you're kind of shooting, you're shooting in the dark, right? Where you have to just as you're adjusting the ring, sometimes, like I said, you will get that X, the X shape, and it does not look good at all. So as long as you stick within the minimum and maximum range, you'll be fine. You should not have any problems with that. So that's it, guys. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, tell your friends and all that good stuff, and stay tuned for more. Thanks.